So you have a half an hour a day to train, and we're going to build your schedule now. There's a couple of things that you really have to make sure that you put into your training schedule before we start planning what days you're actually going to train. And those include events that are happening, whether it's with you or your family, travel, and work. So we need to take those fixed items and make sure that they're in the schedule so that we can work around them. So pull up the scheduling sheet that we've provided and either print it so that you can write on it or keep it up on your computer so that you can type into it and you can print it later. If we look at the sheet here, you'll see that at the top you have a place for your name so that you don't lose your sheet. That's great. The zones, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And the first thing you need to do here is in this box right here is figure out what day you're going to start this on. And what I want you to do is I want you to start your training. Doesn't matter what day it is today, but you're going to start your training schedule next Monday. And between now and next Monday, we'll give you a chance to look at videos and make sure that you know the stuff that you're going to have to do next week. And it'll give you a few days, if not a week, to get into the information and learn a bunch of stuff before we start. Okay? So right on the top box here, it says enter next Monday's date. So if next Monday's date is January 7th, 2013, we'll enter that, and what you'll see is the rest of the field will fill out for you. So this is the date of the Monday of each week. So now that you've figured out exactly what weeks you're going to be working, then what I want you to do is in these boxes here, at least temporarily, you're going to add in whether you have activities that are going to take up most of the day where you won't be able to train or stuff that you have to work around. So if I know that we are traveling on that day, then I know I can't train on that day because I know we're going to be driving all day. And we're going to be traveling again on this day. And that's a day that we're not going to be able to do too. And right here, again, have to travel for a speaking conference. And I'll come back here, travel there. Okay, and as for if you're going to be away, that might affect some of the availability for equipment you have and where you're used to training. So I know here we're staying at a hotel, and we're going to repeat that. So at least I know when I do my planning that what sort of availability I'm going to have for equipment and for myself. Then the next thing we want to do, and what's really important if you're training half an hour a day, is you're going to train up to, and what I really try and encourage you to do is up to 6 days a week. This is really what we want you to do. And the half an hour is not very much each day, and you can get all your training done in a half an hour. So if we go back to the schedule here, I'm going to put 30 minutes this day, 30 minutes that day, 30 minutes here, and I'm just going to do 1 week. So on the travel day, I know I can't do it, but I'm going to put 30 minutes in there and 30 minutes in here. So there are 3 basic things that we need to do. We need to do what's called zone 1 cardio, so just very light cardio. We need to do interval training, and we need to do our workouts. So for the beginning part of the training, if this is the first time you're doing this and you're going into doing the fundamental training is there's 2 separate workout days, and you can do those 3 to 4 times a week. I'm going to put in here that I'm going to do on Monday for my 30 minutes of training. I'm going to do my fundamental day 1 training, and then on Wednesday I'm going to do my fundamental day 2. Now, if you've moved on from the fundamental training and you're going into the building block training or the skills training or anything like that, depending on what skill you've chosen, what you'll do is enter for each day that you're going to do skills training or building block training, you'll enter in, instead of doing fundamental training, you just label the day of the exercise that you're doing. So I'm doing building blocks for squatting that day, and I'm going to do building blocks for pulling on that day, and I move on through the week like that. Okay, and if you don't know which skills you're going to choose to do, then make sure you hit up the coaching call so we can help you figure that out. So now that I figured out the two days a week here that I'm going to do training, and we'll go back to fundamental day 1, day 2, and I'm going to do here fundamental day 1 again, okay, because we're alternating back and forth. And that leaves us here with 3 days of 30 minutes of training that is outside of doing our workout program itself. So on the first day, you're going to mark down here zone 1. And I'll explain that after, and you'll learn it a little bit more in the cardio section, what zone 1 is. Here, we're going to put interval training. And on the last day here, I'm going to put zone 1 again. And because zone 1 training should be at least 50% of our training. If we're doing cardio 3 days that week outside of our strength training program, then 2 of them need to be zone 1 and the other one can be cardio. So now what I need to do is I need to expand this out throughout the week. So because I have an inconsistency in my schedule here, I'm going to go back to that after. What I'll do here is, at least for the days that I'm not traveling, I'm actually just going to copy that and paste it, not every week, but every second week. Okay? And because this is a travel day, and this actually works out for me to be a great day off on a regular basis, this Friday here, then I'm going to do off here, and I'm going to give myself that day off of training on a consistent basis. Now, the reason I didn't put it in here is because I know this is a travel day, and I know that I'm not going to be training that day, so that's going to have to be my day off. So then on the other weeks, now we need to just make a slight change to the schedule itself. So because I did fundamental day 1 here, and in the first week I did day 1 training twice, then I'm going to start this week with fundamental day 2. And this is my travel day, so my day off is there. So I'm going to move this to here, and it's my fundamental day 1. And here, fundamental day 2. Okay? Then on the other days, so I'm at the hotel here, I can still do 30 minutes of zone 1. Here, you don't need to put this in, but I'll put it off. And because this is in the way of my interval training here, I'm going to move my interval training to the day that I would regularly have off. So 30 minutes interval training. And we're going to leave this the same, 30 minutes of zone 1. Now we can take this and basically copy that schedule into here. So this is fundamental day 2, 30 zone 1. This will be my fundamental day 1. This will be my 30 minutes of intervals. That's my day off. This is fundamentals. Oops. day 2. And then 30 in zone 1. Okay, and I can take that. And because I'm traveling again here, I can't copy it completely, but I can copy part of it. And yes, I want to replace those. And because this is my travel day, I'm actually going to have to switch these 2 days, right? Because this is a day off. And in lieu of my day off, I'm missing my day 2 training, so I'll put here fundamental day 2. And here I'm in a hotel, but I'm going to do zone 1. Okay, so you get the idea of how to work around your schedule, and I'll complete this day here. So this is going to be fundamental day 1, and this is 30 zone 1. And again, we can copy and paste that in there. And there I have 5 weeks of training. 6 weeks of training. Where I'm doing my fundamental training, and I have all my intervals and everything that I need to do, and I'm taking into consideration the fact that I'm doing some training, or I'm doing some traveling, and there are days that maybe I would normally train that I can't train those days. So it's really, really important that you plan ahead. Now, if you're not doing a lot of traveling and it's a time in the season where your schedule is very, very consistent, then it makes it much simpler. You can just write out what you're doing on your straight days, have a sort of an ideal schedule like this, and just copy and paste it so you get all of your training in. Now, if you're beyond the fundamental training, or you're right at a transition time, you feel like you're ready to move on, then feel free to, if you're on this week and you're ready to move from the fundamental training into other training, then just pull up your schedule and make sure you make the necessary changes. So if you know that on this day you're not going to do the fundamental training, you're going to do the building blocks for squatting, then you can put that in and just replace your training through here. If you want to do more skills training than 3 days a week, then just keep adding it in here. What'll happen is you're going to find that you can do this schedule and it's very, very manageable, and if you just follow it along, and you're going to find that there are some days that you actually have a little bit of extra time, so you can start adding things in. And because everything is built in half an hour modules, then adding a half an hour to one day, so instead of doing 30 minutes that day, you do 60 minutes. Well, now you can do zone 1 training, and you can do maybe your building blocks for squatting or lifting or pushing, and have it all done in an hour. Okay. So that's the basic premise on how to schedule your training, and I really, really encourage you to build it out every 4 or 6 weeks, and get back to it, and either come back to this video and reschedule the next month coming up, and really maintain your schedule, because that's going to give you a good idea of how much you're actually getting done, and it's going to encourage you to keep at it. Okay?